Hello dear students, today we will start our third poem Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda. The poet of this poem, Pablo Neruda, was a Chilean poet. Pablo Neruda is his pen name. His real name was Naphtali Ricardo Reyes Bosalto, who was born in the town of Parel in Chile. Neruda became known as a poet when he was 13 years old and wrote in a variety of styles of poems. His writings are simple, wherein lies their beauty. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1971. The poem Keeping Quiet was originally written in Spanish. The essence of this poem is based on introspection and retrospection. Introspection is to look into oneself and examine one's thoughts, emotions, and opinions. It involves looking at oneself from outside oneself and examining everything about oneself, while retrospection is to look at one's past actions and deeds. So here in this poem, Neruda talks about the necessity of quiet introspection and creating a feeling of mutual understanding among human beings. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. The poet asks everyone to count up to 12 in their mind, as if he is giving one activity. The number 12 represents the hours of the day or the months of a year. He wants all of us to be calm and still. People across the nations have to unite together, so they shall not speak their own languages. Rather, they all shall keep quiet and speak the language of silence. So it's not for the people of one country, it's for all the peoples of the world. This will bring unity among all the humans on the face of the earth. At least at one time, we all will be doing the similar things. For at least one moment, no one shall move his arms either to signal or to fight or argue with each other. It would be an exotic moment, without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. The poet says that it would be a rare situation when there will be no engines working. Here he wants to state that if everything comes to stand still, it will be a very different moment. If all the engines like the vehicles and the machines stop, then there will be a sudden, strange situation as the world will experience a sudden calmness. Luckily or unluckily, we people are facing the same situation nowadays. People will not be in a rush to achieve material things one after another. Further, the poet says that the fishermen will also stop and not harm whales in the sea. This means that the poet is urging everyone not to harm the animals. Here he gives the example of whales which are being hunted for the purpose of food or trade. He also wants people to calm down so that they can stop and see what they have achieved or lost. For this, he gives the example of the man who gathers salt, whose hands are hurt. Here he wants everyone to stop for a while in order to see and feel their achievements and how much they have lost for the sake of attaining such materialistic things. So these lines reminds me a few lines of William Wordsworth, that the world is too much with us. Late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers, little we see in nature, that is ours. So I gave these lines because here also the poet wants to give the similar kind of idea that we are hurting ourselves, we are wasting so much time, we are hurting others as well just to attain materialistic things. Those who prepare green wards, wards with gas, wards with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. So poet asks everyone to stop those activities which are damaging the environment. Today, all the human beings are making money by damaging the environment with their activities such as mining, deforestation, letting the chemical waste into rivers, etc. The poet asks us not to do so. He also requests people not to involve in wars, as there is no benefit of achieving such victory in which no one is left alive. He says so because wars and environmental damage will lead to no life on earth. Rather, he wants people to adopt a new approach towards life and mankind. He says that you should treat your enemy like brothers and promote peace and harmony in the world. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. The poet wants to clarify to his readers that when he asks them to stop from saying or doing anything, he doesn't want anyone to become a non-active person. Non-active person is a person who remains idle. So he doesn't want people to be idle. Here he simply means that we should stop and see consequences of our deeds, of our materialistic deeds. The poet doesn't want to see people being killed due to their greed for money and expansion of territories. Further, he says that people are continuously working to achieve their task without even thinking about their results. They are in fear of death and therefore want to achieve most of the things before their death. Here he urges them to stop for a while and take some moment to relish on what they have achieved till now. Everyone here is living a life in which he wants to achieve various things, one after another. We have taken a house, then we want a big house. We have one car, then we want bigger car. So our ambitions, our desires, they are not stopped. We want various things one after another. But now the poet says it is the time to stop and see what has been achieved and should be enjoyed. What real achievement. This will help us skip the sadness which has become so prominent in our lives. The sadness of not enjoying what we have achieved and the greed to achieve what next is in the list to be achieved. Perhaps the earth can teach us. As when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive, now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I'll go. So the poet suggests us to take a teaching from nature. As the earth undergoes changes, in winter everything freezes, becomes lifeless, but after some time the season changes again and everything comes back to life. We can see the same things with trees also. In autumn they just shed their leaves and again in spring they are rich with new leaves. Similarly, taking a pause and introspecting into our lives will give it a new meaning. We will be able to understand the purpose of our life. It will be like a rebirth of the soul. The poet has conveyed to all the people the purpose of his message, and so he asks them once again to take pause, count till 12 and walks out of the scene, keeping the scene open for all the people on the earth to experience this for times to come.